You know, we have this peculiar idea in our modern world. The joy is something that can be scheduled, that at a very specific stroke of midnight, the entire planet must undergo a collective paroxysm of delight. But I don't mean to suggest that there's anything wrong with a party. I mean, when you really begin to see the theater of it all, the forced resolutions, the desperate clinging to a new version of oneself. And here's what nobody tells you. Your urge to retreat, to turn off the lights and simply be, isn't a sign of depression. It's actually a sign that you've stopped being a character in the play and started being the audience. Do you ever feel like you're the only person in the room who sees the mask? There's a specific kind of exhaustion that comes from being an empath during the festive season. It's the exhaustion of the observer. You see, most people are perfectly happy to be swept up in the current. They like the noise. It prevents them from hearing the silence of their own lives. But you've always had a bit of a thin skin, haven't you? The world calls it hypersensitivity. I prefer to call it high fidelity. You are like a radio that picks up the static between the stations. When the clock starts ticking toward midnight, you don't just feel the fun, you feel the anxiety. You feel the millions of people clutching their glasses, silently pleading with the universe, please let this year be different. Please let me be someone else. Is it any wonder you want to hide under the covers? It's not that you're no fun, it's that you can't help but see the tragedy in the fun. You see the desperation. And what I want to reveal to you today is that this coldness or detachment you feel is actually the most honest response a human being can have to the madness of a ticking clock. What if everything we've been taught about starting over is backwards? We are told that if we don't celebrate, we're cynical. But I suggest that the most cynical thing you can do is pretend that a number on a page can heal a hole in the heart. 1. The illusion of the new. The first thing you must understand is that the very concept of a new year is a trick of the mind. It's like trying to define where the wind starts. We live in a culture that is obsessed with beginnings because we are terrified of middles. Think of it as a stage play where the actors suddenly stop, change the scenery, and expect the audience to believe it's a different story. But the actors are the same. The script is the same. The baggage we carry doesn't evaporate at midnight, it just gets a new date stamp. I once knew a man who spent every New Year's Eve traveling to a different time zone, trying to outrun the midnight hour. He'd fly from Tokyo to London, chasing the tail of the previous year. He was exhausted. And why? Because he thought he could leave his old self behind if he just moved fast enough. But you, the quiet one, you know the truth. You know that you can't run away from yourself on a jet plane or in a bottle of champagne. The soul doesn't care about the Gregorian calendar. The soul cares about the eternal now. When you sit in silence while the world screams, you are choosing the now over the new. This isn't laziness, it's a profound spiritual refusal to be distracted. 2. The empath's burden, the vibrational hangover. The second thing, which is perhaps more important for the sensitive souls among us, is the psychology of the collective mask. Imagine you are standing in a stadium where 60,000 people are all trying to convince themselves of the same lie at once. That lie is, tomorrow everything changes. As an empath, you don't hear the words, you hear the frequency. And the frequency of New Year's Eve is often of profound, jagged lack. It's a collective scream into the void. For you, participating in that is like trying to swim in a sea of mercury. It's heavy, it's toxic. You feel the vibrational hangover before the first drink is even poured. Have you ever noticed how on January 1st the air feels gray? Not because of the weather, but because the collective high has crashed.
By choosing not to celebrate, you are practicing what the ancients called discernment. You are protecting your psychic borders. You are saying, I refuse to be a battery for this collective anxiety. 3. The tyranny of the resolution. The third point involves the violence we do to ourselves through resolutions. We treat ourselves like malfunctioning machines that need an upgrade. I will be thinner, I will be richer, I will be more productive. This is a form of spiritual aggression. It's based on the idea that who you are right now is an error that needs to be corrected. But watch what happens in nature. Does a tree resolve to grow 10 feet in January? No. It rests. It pulls its sap down into its roots. It waits for the internal signal, not the external one. When you refuse to make resolutions, people might call you unmotivated, but I see it differently. I see it as a person who has finally made peace with the present moment. You've realized that you aren't a project to be finished. You are a flower that is already blooming, even if the world thinks it's winter. 4. The wisdom of the empty calendar. The fourth thing you must understand is the power of the void. In our society, we are terrified of empty space. We fill our calendars, our rooms, and our minds with noise. The new year is the ultimate filling of space. But for the introvert, the void is where the magic happens. Think of a piece of music. The beauty isn't in the notes alone, it's in the silence between the notes. Without that silence, the music is just a chaotic wall of sound. By staying home, by choosing the silent new year, you are creating the silence between the notes of your life. You are allowing the music of your soul to become audible again. You are giving the muddy water of your mind time to settle so you can see the bottom of the pond. 5. The social architecture of loneliness. The fifth point is a bit provocative. People fear not celebrating because they fear being alone. They think that if they're not part of the herd on the big night, they have somehow failed at being human. But there's a massive difference between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is a hunger for others. Solitude is a feast of the self. Most people at these parties are incredibly lonely. That's why they're drinking so much. They are trying to bridge the gap between themselves and the person standing next to them. When you sit alone on New Year's Eve, you aren't lonely. You are being a good host to yourself. You are realizing that the most important relationship you will ever have is the one happening inside your own skin. 6. The biological truth of midwinter. The sixth thing, and this is where we look at the biology of the sensitive person, is that your body knows it's winter. The Gregorian calendar is a human invention, but the seasons are a cosmic reality. In the northern hemisphere, late December is a time of deep hibernation. The animals are asleep, the seeds are dormant, the earth is breathing in. To throw a loud, brightly lit party during the peak of winter's inhale is a violation of the natural rhythm. Your sensitivity isn't a malfunction, it's a tuner. You are tuned to the earth. Your body is telling you to sleep, to dream, and to reflect. When you ignore the party and go to bed at 10 p.m., you aren't being a curmudgeon. You are being an animal in harmony with its habitat. You are honoring the in-breath of the world. Finally, 7. The death of the ego's timeline. The seventh and most profound point, the silent new year, is a small death, and that's a good thing. The ego loves New Year's because the ego loves time. The ego wants to measure, to compare, to say, I was this, but now I am that. But the spirit, the part of you that is connected to the whole, doesn't know what a year is. When you stop celebrating, you are letting the ego's timeline die. You are stepping out of the stream of becoming and into the ocean of being. You are admitting that you don't need a fresh start because you were never truly stained to begin with. So here we are, back to where we started. We see the fireworks in the distance, we hear the muffled cheers from the neighbor's house, and we feel that familiar tug, the one that asks, should I be there? All of these points connect because they point to the same hidden truth. You are not broken for wanting the silence. You are not behind in life because you are not shouting from the rooftops. The beautiful secret is this: the world needs its observers just as much as it needs its actors. If everyone was on stage, there would be no one to hear the play. You are the quiet space that allows the noise to have meaning. You are the stillness that anchors the spinning world. You are not failing the social contract. You are honoring the soul's contract. You are the universe experiencing itself in a moment of profound, sacred silence. This is the dance we're all part of, the dance of the seen and the unseen, the noise and the quiet. And so the journey continues, not because the calendar says so, but because life cannot help but flow. Good night, and may you find the